Was stumbling around in total darkness part of plan?
You give us the fire, we'll give them hell.
Do not speak so lightly of hell.
Easy, Tech. I didn't mean the real thing.
Gentlemen, we are here.
Where have you taken us?
They should be closer to the lab. No matter. This way, if you please.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Outside. The series, of course, we're going outside zombies maps such as Blood of the Dead, which we have on our plate today. I'm really excited to see what's going on outside on Alcatraz Island and compare some things to Mob of the Dead as well. And if you are too, leave a like down below, helps me out a ton. And of course, make sure you're subscribed so you can come back for more. But let's get right into it. I got a mod menu that allows me to do things such as turn on God mode as well as no clip. And we can go ahead and hop on out a window such as this and see a zombie spawn right in front of us. So it looks like this little window location is actually U-shaped and also connects to this window, which... well, it's at the bottom of this staircase, which I believe leads to the boss fight arena up here, right? Yeah, this place. So yeah, this is a cool little window location, but let's go ahead and hop on out of here and go across... where is it? Over here, yeah. Let's hop on this one as well. It looks very similar as far as, like, being carved into rock, but... oh my god, yeah, it's a little bit different in here. Look at this. So we get a view out into some very liminal space. We can see some textures just popping in and out, getting called constantly, and oh my god, I hope you guys are not prone to seizures. But it is kind of strange how this is a very long hallway here, and there is a barrier on each side. I do have collision here completely, even though there's, you know, not very much texture going on. Oh, and there we just saw a zombie spawn right there in the corner. But other than some skeleton that's sitting on the ground right there, there's nothing too terribly interesting to check out further, so I suppose let's move on to the next place. Moving on up the stairs now, we do have a window up here around the corner. If I go ahead and hop on into it, we can see we got a pretty large room here, actually. It stretches around, and again, you can get a look into some more liminal space here. But it is a pretty cool room. It's very dark and has some very interesting ambient lighting going on, but it is kind of modeled almost completely for the most part, other than, of course, this area here around the corner that you'd never get to see. And something that is pretty cool about this, around the corner here in this dark corner, there's a door, and if I go through this door, well, we can see it leads out, again, at the top of this staircase. The other door in this room that's right here just leads right on out into the yard here, into an area that, well, I guess zombies do hop on over this right here, I think, to get into the map. But other than that, this little area is unused. It's not playable space or anything like that, but it is kind of cool. It also leads into this little office area, which, again, is right in front of this door right here that goes to the boss fight arena. And if we go back over here to this corner where we can see through the wall, we can take a look at the staircase, of course, below, and we can also see the ceiling of the staircase right here, kind of almost forming a second staircase leading up to another floor. But, of course, if we hop on in here, first of all, there is collision with the ceiling, but there isn't very much of a staircase here. And if we did go up, well, this is what the floor above looks like. Very empty. There is a door right there, though. Where did that go to? Oh, little catwalk action. Nice. And because we can, we might as well take a little stroll on the roof. Take a look at Alcatraz. Oh my god. Now, there is one thing we missed about this building, and that is this little window right here that just leads out to, I guess, a little ramp on the side here. Kind of a strange space. But it does exist, and it leads down to a little garage door. Unfortunately, though, on the other side of this garage door, well, there's not very much. It's very liminal, and I believe what I'm standing on right now is like the texture for the rocks below us, but there isn't much to see here other than, well, I mean this. Alright, hop on out of the spawn building into this little west grounds area. We're immediately met with a little window right here in front of us. Let's go ahead and hop on into it. Little pocket here for zombies to spawn, it seems, with a whole bunch of magma chilling. And if we go ahead and hop on over this, of course, this is where the boss fight arena is. And since we didn't check it out before, we might as well just take a little quick stroll through it right now. I myself have only done this boss fight, I think, like, once. And I really don't remember it. I remember there's, like, stuff you have to shoot, I think, but that's about it. I just remember the ending cutscene being, well, yeah. But anyway, hopping on out of there, we can continue on down this way And we're met with another window, so let's go ahead and hop on out of it. And this one is a little bit more interesting. I mean, there's quite a bit of space here, actually. Although it seems we lose collision a little bit early, unfortunately. This is a pretty standard practice that collision just drops off right on outside of some of these window locations, even though it really feels like the whole Alcatraz here you could just walk on top of, which will become very important later on in the video, so make sure you're keeping notes. Go ahead and make our way down these stairs. We're met with a window right here on our left side, so let's go ahead and hop on into it, and it is a pretty, oh my god, that is bright. There is what appears to be some sort of light. Okay, it's gone now. That is really strange. You can even get it to turn on and off right here inside the map. Yeah, not exactly sure what's going on with this. However, it is facing this room right here, which is kind of empty, actually. It does have some modeling here on the back wall, but for a room that you could easily see from the window right here, it's kind of surprising how empty it is. It does lead back to this little room right here, which is, I'm assuming, is for zombie spawns. Even though it's pretty empty, kind of a cool little room nonetheless, but let's go ahead and hop on back inside the map and check out this window next. So across the way here, we unfortunately do not have very much collision. We'll fall right through the map right there. So unfortunately, we don't really get to walk into this building at all. There isn't any collision here. However, we can take a look at it. I mean, there's a bunch of empty space here, which, I mean, I guess is to be expected. Now, walking on into the powerhouse, we got a couple window locations in here, this being one of them. Check out back here, this little dock area, although, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it has very much collision. There is a cool little space here, however, and on the other side, it links to this window right here. And in case you're wondering like I am, this little room right here, yeah, it doesn't exist in Blood of the Dead. Before continuing, I should probably note some things here about Black Ops 4. As you saw with me no-clipping before, when I do no-clip, my body still exists, so it kind of gets in the way. Sorry about that. But other than that, also, this game does have the typical death areas that, like, I guess were introduced, I suppose, with Black Ops 1 Ascension. When you're in an area like this that you're not supposed to be, and you do not have God mode on, well, of course, you take damage over time, just like I am right now. And the more annoying thing is that this sound effect just keeps playing on loop over and over and over again. So just in case you're wondering why there is no noise when I'm shooting, or any other sound effects for that matter, I got that volume bar all the way down so we don't get annoyed by that constantly. But with that out of the way, go ahead and continue on into the actual New Industries building here, which has a lot more going on with it. So first of all, we do have this window location right here at the back. Let's go ahead and hop on into it. And if we do, we can see it leads to a massive room here. The modeling seems to just cut off like halfway through the room here. I guess they're assuming that you really can't see much further past this, which, I mean, is probably true, but the room itself does continue all the way back here. There is collision even with the back wall. Certainly makes you wonder if they were planning to have more to this building. I mean, there's even some doors here on the side, which if I hop on out, there is collision here with this pathway along the side of the building as well. Which, as we noticed earlier over here, it definitely isn't usually the case that pathways like this have collision. This pathway, of course, does connect to the playable area here. I mean, there's debris in front of it, but physically it connects to it. So if I just keep on strolling down the side of this building, we can see the pathway does indeed continue further on into the island here. You'll notice the pathway itself I don't have collision with, but I do have full collision with the ground here around it. It seems like it is supposed to be taking an incline, but of course the ground doesn't, and that's kind of why it looks like we're just walking through it. But the entire area over here has collision. I can walk on all of it, and the pathway itself, it starts going up this ramp. We don't have collision with it. However, we do have collision with this little wall right here. Kind of strange. If we continue on up this pathway, first of all, we can see that it just kind of clips into this one. Kind of weird, a little bit artificially. But if we hop on up on this pathway, we can see we do have collision up here. Although, well, okay, not there, but right here where I'm standing right now. And it does wrap up around the mountain here, all the way up behind this area where the Warden's house is. Of course, it doesn't just go up the mountain, though. It also goes down it right here. And the kind of strange part about it is the barrier that I do have collision with that is above this actual floor seems to be sloped a lot differently than the actual pathway itself. And as we continue, we lead ourselves to a massive open area right here, which again, would be pretty strange if we had collision with it, right? But we do. There is a huge space right here, which I think is supposed to normally be like the residential buildings, the place where the workers live. And it is a huge open area, which we have collision with all of it. As far as these buildings go, there isn't anything interesting inside of them. It doesn't really look like they were exactly made. However, it is really strange that we can walk all the way out here. And then not only that, but this pathway continues further over here where there's like this weird ramp that certainly doesn't need to exist. But it definitely exists, and we do have collision with it. And if we go on up it, well, it leads us to this part of the map, around fully back towards docks. Really makes you wonder what they were planning here. Because I have collision through all of this area as well. Even all the way up here, back towards the water tower, we have collision. It's crazy, dude. We even have collision here beneath the water tower as well, and there's also a valve here, although you can't do anything with it, but it certainly looks like something that you would be able to do something with. Like, if this was playable space, that is, of course. And this pathway does continue all the way up to the prison as well, towards, I believe, some window locations. It also leads and wraps up around the prison here to a very liminal space where we have some floating sheet metal wall here, which I believe was part of that bridge that takes you over towards the prison from spawn. And, well, as far as this path right here, well, we can see it does a couple things. First of all, we do have a staircase right here, which, again, we have collision with, and it leads up to this doorway that just goes right on into the prison, into an area, of course, that we'll explore in just a bit. This is, of course, out of the map, though. It's not playable space. And this staircase right here, well, it goes down this pathway right alongside the building, and again, all of it still has collision here. So what exactly am I saying here about all these pathways? Let's go ahead and summarize this, because there was a lot that we just went over. If we go back towards spawn here, it seems that there is a pathway leading out of this building right here, going around the entire map. If we follow it, it leads back towards this big open space, which again, all has collision, even though it really shouldn't. This area, of course, is very open and empty, so any work that they were planning to do here clearly hasn't made it into this build. Perhaps they had done some, but it certainly seems like they were at least going to include this in the map, or at least gave themselves a way to do so if they ended up wanting to later on. And it seems like this same pathway would also be able to connect up here towards the Warden's house, so being able to give some modes of movement around the map, and not only that, but also wrap all the way around back towards docks. Something that should be noted, however, if we keep on going down this way, well, guess what happens? No collision. So because of that, that makes me think that this is like the only area that they weren't considering to make playable space, but it does seem like this upper area right here that leads towards the front of the prison was going to be part of the map. Walking through all this, it really makes me wish that was the case, because I've always felt like Blood of the Dead really wasn't all that unique from Mob of the Dead. Like, I know they added the entire spawn area to the map, which is certainly significant, but if they added all of this as well, I mean, it really would have made the map stand out. Alright, so that is pretty much all of spawn, as well as a huge amount of the out-of-bounds area around the map itself. So now it's time to take a little bit of a deeper dive and take a little trip across the bridge. But before we do, let me take a sip of the coffee. Because, of course, I have my coffee with me here this morning, and I hope wherever you are, whatever time you're watching this, you're enjoying yourself, because oh my god am I. I am not a fan of Black Ops 4. I have stated that before, certainly on Voyage to Despair. I think I made my opinion heard. However, this right here is awesome. Being able to walk around these spaces that really do feel like areas they were thinking about making playable space, perhaps, and constructing some areas to kill some zombies at. I always loved Mob of the Dead, so seeing Blood of the Dead here have some of these areas that we couldn't walk on in Black Ops 2, but we can here in Black Ops 4, well, it's a great experience. If you guys are enjoying this as much as me, then make sure to leave a like down below. It helps me out a ton, and of course, make sure you're subscribed so you can come back for more. We have plenty more maps to do, and plenty more things to see, but with that out of the way, let's go ahead and continue. So as for the catwalk itself, it of course does not have really any window locations. However, there is this that constantly happens, the little zombie arm through the wall. And if we use a little bit of no-clip, we can see what's going on with these zombies, although this one's kind of hard to see here, but we can get a much better look at this guy, however. As we can see, it is a zombie model that has the bottom half of him essentially just cut off, and he does this little animation whenever you walk by. He'll randomly stick his arm right on through the wall, although it seems to not be happening right now. Well, he's doing it. Why can't you? And yeah, this is what it looks like from outside the map. Kind of strange, although it is interesting to see that the zombie models themselves are different from each other, and they're not all the same model. And moving on across the bridge, we have this area here to check out. The yard, I suppose. But, of course, this is outside, so you might be asking, awesome, why are you inside the map? Why are you walking through this? Why not just hop on out into the courtyard? Well, as you can see, if I do so, I fall right through the map, which is crazy. This place right here, right next to the inside of the map, has no collision, while this entire area out here does.
Alcatraz, rise and greet our guests properly.
We can go ahead and fly on over to the Warden as well, if I can get it real quick. Oh, man. We can't interact with him, though, unfortunately. The little platform that he stands on does have collision, though, so that's cool. And finally, making our way towards the prison, we do have one window location right here. If I go ahead and hop on into it, there's not much inside of it. It's not exactly modeled, but kind of a cool little space. And finally, the prison. Do love myself a good D-block. As we enter the prison here, we are immediately met with a window right in front of us, and if I hop on into it, we can see, well, it's just a little area with, of course, a whole bunch of cells here. It leads on across to this window location, which I do believe existed in the original Mob of the Dead, and it connects back towards the original spawn location here in the library on this side. And talking about that original spawn location, let's go ahead and hop on into it and see what's happening inside of here. We do have a window right here, if we hop on into it. Just a little space, and it does have that same, like, weird shelving above it with a hole in it. This was the same in Black Ops 2, at least for the most part, and I believe zombies actually jumped down there. I think they spawn up here in the corner, and they jumped on down to the window below. And what's pretty cool about this is in Black Ops 2, of course, right to our left is normally a staircase that leads into the map. This was one of the ways, of course, to get towards this MP5 wall buy. And although through this door that staircase is completely gone here in Black Ops 4, the writing on the wall that tells us that we're going towards the showers and the infirmary is not. It's still present here outside the map. Now, as far as these cells here in Spawn, they do hide a couple cool details. One of them is this cipher, which I believe was in Black Ops 2, I think in the same cell as well. That's not the only thing hiding in these cells, however. If we go on over to this one, well, we can see it's very dark. We can't exactly see into it, but if we use a little bit of no-clip, the old voltmeter here is still present from Mob of the Dead, just chilling, out of sight, and unfortunately, out of the game. And, of course, there is another window location here in Spawn. If we go ahead and hop on out to it, it leads to this little yard area, I suppose, outside the prison, which we can walk around, and it also wraps to this window here as well as this one. This area is very much similar to how it was in Black Ops 2. However, if we'll remember back then, there wasn't any textures for the wall of the prison from out here. While here in Black Ops 4, it seems like there wasn't any backside culling going on. I guess the memory issues weren't a problem like there were in Black Ops 2, and the textures are all here. And continuing on past Spawn, we got this little area to check out, which as far as this area, there isn't really any window locations or anything like that. However, there's something really cool right through here. Unlike the other ones, like right here, for instance, where it's really dark and there's not exactly much going on inside of it, this one right here, however, is a little bit different. There's some lighting going on inside of here, and right here, well, there's a hole in the wall. This is where our four main characters walk on through in the intro cutscene, and they get into the map through this hole right here in this guy's cell. Which, in case you're wondering where this is, in case you don't know, it's right here in front of the Warden's office. And as far as I remember, isn't there a step in the original Mob of the Dead where you have to throw a Hell's Retriever at this or something like that? Down here inside this little alleyway? I don't exactly remember. You guys are going to have to let me know down in the comment section. You guys know way more about Easter egg lore stuff than I do. It's been a long time for me. Oh, hey, buddy. You here to get me out? Because I'm a little stuck. I guess not. And lastly, for this, like, cell block middle area of the map, if we go ahead and hop down here, we do have a little out-of-bounds space to check out. It seems there's a barrier blocking me from going this way, but if we go ahead and hop on into it, we can see, well, there's just a couple little cells here. But the cool thing, of course, is the hole in the ground, which in Black Ops 2 was literally just some artwork, little 2D textures that were making it look like there was an actual hole in the ground. And here in Black Ops 4, well, there's definitely an actual hole in the ground now. And back towards the start of the prison, we have more to check out over here. The first thing I want to see is through this door. Of course, in Black Ops 2 Mob of the Dead, this was a little area that you could go into the afterlife and hop on through and eventually jump up and turn on the power to an area. But it seems like here in Black Ops 4, well, there is a little walkway, which I do have collision with, just like in Black Ops 2. However, at the end here, there is no voltmeter, like there is in some other places outside the map. There is not one left over here. Kind of let me down there, Treyarch. So I think for now, I'm going to go ahead and pass up the cafeteria. We'll check that out soon enough. There's a lot of cool things to see in there, as well as, of course, the rooftop. But before we do, I'm going to go ahead and head this way instead. We were over here kind of earlier, and it just kind of makes more sense to do so. And as we make our way towards the Warden's office, we do have a window location right here on the right, so let's go ahead and hop on into it. In Black Ops 1, this entire space was here. However, here in Black Ops 4, it does seem like there's a bit more modeling going on. There's certainly a lot more debris here on the ground. And it's just kind of cool to see, even though some of these cells, as you can see right here, we don't exactly have collision with, and there is no modeling inside of them. And just in case you were wondering, there is this little catwalk up here that leads all the way down to the other side. And right here in the middle is the thing that you zap that lowers the key in Mob of the Dead, or at least I think that's what this is supposed to be. It's certainly in the correct place for it. But as far as this little catwalk itself, it goes all the way down to the end here and lets us take a peek into another very liminal space here on the other side of the prison, which is entirely constructed just like it was in Black Ops 2 Mob of the Dead. And here it hasn't exactly changed very much. There isn't a whole lot of modeling. All of these cells seem to be completely empty, and there is no collision with anything else but like these spiral staircases here. And just to put in perspective for the folks that were wondering, this door right here is the one that we went through earlier that leads out towards this area of the map here. And finally, let's go ahead, hop on into the Warden's office, and we do have quite a bit here on the right side to immediately check out. So if we go ahead and hop on into here, first of all, we do have a part here, which it doesn't seem like I can grab, unfortunately. But we can also see that there is some space right here outside the map. Of course, this is a window location, and it leads back to this little liminal room here where the zombies spawn and can come on out the window at you. Around the right side here, of course, is a relic of Mob of the Dead, another voltmeter that was originally used to open the door, and we can see we do actually have collision still with these stairs, although they don't exactly lead anywhere. But the only windows we have left here for the Warden's office all lead out towards some out-of-bounds space. This one right here, of course, is an area that we just walked through already, but these ones over here lead out towards this hell ravine. This is a pretty cool little space to be able to walk around in. There is certainly a lot of detail to it, considering you can see it very well from inside the map. And if we go ahead and continue further this way, well, of course, there's this space right here, which we do have collision with. I think we've walked through this already earlier. But what we didn't check out was this right behind me, the actual lighthouse itself. Which, as you can see, of course, there is an open door here. I believe this is where the zombies spawn, right on back here. They can come on out this door and then go to one of the windows here. Not exactly sure which, or perhaps multiple? I don't know. And as far as the rest of the lighthouse goes, well, there isn't really anything inside of it. However, way up at the top, right here where this massive light is emanating from, if we go inside of it, right in the middle is a simple light bulb. Not exactly sure how a light bulb like this is supposed to be projecting that much light out, but I guess that's what's going on here. But alright, it's time. Let's make our way to the Warden's house. But before we do, what about this house? So as the map is constructed right now, it wouldn't make any sense at all for this house to be something that you could go into, but as you can see, there certainly is some space. I mean, you can see into it. There's like a candle here on a desk, for instance. There's also some space up there that we can see into, as well as that window over there too. And if we no-clip on into it, well, we can see, for one, there is definitely a little room here, which is kind of interesting. Although it doesn't exactly connect with the rest of the building, but if we go inside, there's a bunch of what look like interior walls in here that are, of course, completely unused, considering you can't actually get inside of this building. There's no way you'd ever see any of these. But it does seem like each one of these little windows that you can see into are their own little boxes. Like this one right here, for instance, if we go ahead and hop on into it, it's just a little white box here that has some texturing to it, and that's about it. For another example, here is this one up at the top, which does actually have a chair as well as a little shelving right there, but other than that, there isn't exactly much modeling going on up here. And this window right here, well, if we go inside of it, we can see there is absolutely nothing to the top floor of this building. And as far as collision goes with this building, it's kind of confusing, because we can walk in here, and there's a lot of things that are, like, stopping our path. Yeah, like, I think what I'm walking on right now is just an absolute conglomerate of barriers, and I don't know what's going on here, but it doesn't really feel like the interior of a building, although maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this building was going to be playable space, but it doesn't really feel like it to me. And between this white building and the Warden's house, there is a bit of an alleyway here, and I just kind of want to hop on out into it. Mainly, this staircase looks really cool, although unfortunately it doesn't seem like we can walk up it. Although, hey, look, we can walk up the railing at least. Oh my god, the water just all turned red. Look at that. That looks crazy, dude. I don't know why that's happening. I'm guessing it's, I'm somehow getting, like, out of the weather volume or something, and the texture is just turning blood red. That is horrific. But yeah, as far as this little space goes, it does wrap around the entire building, which is kind of cool. And there's also a pathway here, which it seems like we have collision with. We can walk around the side of the building as well. That leads to a window location into the Warden's house. But yeah, this is a crazy view. Can I jump to this? Let me see. Oh yeah, we can. All right, enough horsing around with that. We'll get to the docks soon enough. I think that's our next destination, actually. But before we do, we got to go into the Warden's house. And as we head on into here, there's a couple things I want to check out. One of them being this window right here that seems to lead down to a basement. If we go ahead and hop on into here, we can see there is definitely a staircase, although I can't exactly fit down it, unfortunately. But if we use a little bit of no-clip, we can hop on into the basement here. There's a little bit of modeling. There's a couple doors here up against the wall and some shelving with, I guess, apples. That's interesting. But yeah, other than that, it doesn't seem like there's any secrets hiding in the basement of the Warden's house, so let's go ahead and go on upstairs instead. At the top of the staircase to our right, there is a window location. If we hop on into here, it leads us to a very cool little space. And continuing this way, as you can see, of course, to our right is this room, the secret room that you go to, the Warden's ritual chamber. Which, as you can see, if you go here when you're not supposed to, the area isn't exactly modeled. It seems like all the objects in here are completely missing. And if instead of taking that right turn into the ritual chamber, we take a left, we can go through this door, and we find a completely unused room, which I just find super cool. As you can see, the lighting, of course, has changed quite a bit while you're in here, and there's even some stuff here in the middle that it seems like I have collision with, although those could just be barriers that are clipping through the ground from underneath. Obviously, there is absolutely no modeling in here, although all the textures are present, and there is even some blood here on the floor. And above his ritual chamber down below, he does have a bit of an attic up here, the Warden, which also has a door right here. If we go inside of that door, well, there isn't really much beyond it. So yeah, that really interesting window right there at the top of the building. Unfortunately, there isn't actually anything hidden here. And back at the start of the prison, once again, the cafeteria stares us in the face. And man, wouldn't it be nice to just go in there and grab a bite to eat real quick? Nah, let's go ahead and pass that up. We're gonna go ahead and go into the showers next and through the tunnels to docks. Which, as we walk into the showers, on our right, we got a window location immediately. Let's go ahead and hop on into it. We got a few washing machines, it seems like, and a little area right here. I believe the zombies come on out of the ground right there. and to the window. But we got a lot more going on. There's another one of these little zombie spawn locations back here with a big old dark room as well that is completely unmodeled, at least for this back portion of it. And not only that, but we also have a staircase here that leads on up and connects back to this little hallway in the cafeteria. And we got one more window here in showers right here on the other side. If we go ahead and hop on into it, we can see a wall by through it just to see where that actually leads to. It's just this part of the Citadel tunnels over here. But as far as the area here in between, there is a lot of space here. So to the right, it's empty. There's just a dead end. But to the left, there's this big old hallway that wraps all the way around to this window location in the tunnels, which I guess is normally where, like, double tap would be, right? It's really cool to see some of this. I'm not exactly sure what these things are supposed to be. They almost look like showers in a way, because there's like a drain here at the bottom, but yeah, I don't really know. And as we walk on into those tunnels, immediately to our left, we're greeted with a window. If we hop on into this one, well, there's a little ritual, I suppose, with some skeleton. But as we continue around the corner, we're met with the hole in the ground to hell, which it seems like there isn't actually a barrier over. We can just fall right on through down to here. Right here to the right, there is a window location. If we hop on in through here, we can see there's some really weird things going on the floor. But continuing past them, we have a really dark and long hallway that wraps all the way around this section here. And it even continues further on this way, zigzagging its way around the tunnels. All of this area did exist in Black Ops 2 Mob of the Dead, and I believe it's mostly just for ambiance, although it's really cool to see how much space there actually is out here. There's a black wall right here stopping me from continuing, but I can go ahead and use a little bit of no-clip and see that it does indeed continue past that black wall all the way to here, where I guess it just kind of dead ends. We can see into the old Hell's Retriever room from here, which if we just take a look at it, it seems like the Hell's Retriever has definitely been lost, unfortunately. Which, yeah, there it is, right below where it fell from. But that is it for the tunnels, so let's go ahead and hop on through this door and make our way down the staircase. Which, right there in the middle, as we can see, there is a skeleton holding a spoon. I'm assuming this is supposed to be one of the characters that you play as in Mob of the Dead. I'm not sure if there's any lore behind this. I'm sure you guys know way more about that than me, so let me know down in the comment section if you know more, but I just thought this was a really cool detail to point out. And of course, at the bottom of the staircase, we are supposed to go that direction, but let's not do that. Instead, let's just check out the actual, like, tunnel here, which it does seem to have more spiral staircase behind what you actually get to go to. And we do have collision with it all. I can actually just walk down this entire staircase all the way to the bottom, which I don't think was the case in Black Ops 2. The bottom here, however, unlike Black Ops 2, does not have collision, which is kind of unfortunate. But if we look up, we can get a very cool perspective. And moving further down the stairs towards the docks, here on our left, we're met with a window location, as well as the collapsed tunnel that you'd normally get to walk through. In Black Ops 2, this tunnel led to where you could grab the part from here at the bottom, and as you can see here in Black Ops 4, some of this still exists. I mean, there is the tunnel here, at least part of it, although it gets cut off here in the middle, and at the end, well, there is actually this little area here as well that normally would have been where you picked up the part. Unfortunately, here in Black Ops 4, it's kind of just lost and forgotten. But we also have this window location, so let's go ahead and hop on into it. Around the corner, there isn't exactly much, just a little place for zombies to spawn. I mean, get a look at that tunnel again, too, and how they just, like, added a texture here to cover it up. Whew. Finally, out of the tunnels, or at least kind of out of the tunnels. To my right here in China Alley, we got a lot to check out. I want to see that in just a second. But before we do, let's hop on through this window. It seems like there's just a little hidden room here for zombies to spawn, and up these stairs, which we do have collision with, which is kind of cool, we can walk atop this grate that just leads across the side of this building, which is actually really cool. If I remember correctly, in Black Ops 2, we did have collision with it, although here at the end, I think it dropped off, and here in Black Ops 4, I guess it does too. But this tunnel, it just has a bit of modeling with it, with some hanging bodies and all that fun stuff. And on the right here, we do have another little hidden room, although I don't think it's used for anything, just a little bit of ambiance. And as we hop on into the power room itself, there is really one place to check out, and that's this window right here. If we hop on into it, just a little space, I guess, for zombies to spawn here around the corner. But that's not the only thing inside this building 64. As we continue on into the interior, of course, to our right, we see a pretty flat wall, right? It doesn't really seem like anything that we're supposed to have gone into. But if we no-clip through it, well, there is a hallway here. And it leads to this little window here overlooking the docks. And on the other end of it is this doorway right here, which goes into this tunnel. It seems that this room is completely unused. And I don't know if they were planning on having it be part of the map or not. I mean, surely there's a reason that this is here, right? But alright, I'm feeling a bit cramped in here. So let's go ahead and step outside for a little bit of fresh air. Take a walk to the docks. Towards the back of the docks here, we do have a window location, so let's go ahead and hop on into it. And it leads to this very, weird space, which I do think is really cool. There's a bunch of, hanging bodies here, as well as some boxes, and we can see the Thompson wall buy right there through the wall. It also leads back behind this plain part location for Mob of the Dead, and we can take a walk along the docks here, which there's actually quite a bit of space before you start falling through. And I'm sure many of you guys are wondering, what about this building right here? In Black Ops 2, there was nothing inside of it, and here in Black Ops 4, the same can be said. There's a texture for the floor and the ceiling, and that's about it. And although there is no collision for this massive concrete slab that we're looking at, if we go this way a little bit, we can see there's actually a pathway right here that leads along the side of the island that we do have collision with, which, again, is just really strange. Why would there be collision out here? While in other places that are much closer to the inside of the map, do not have any collision at all. Definitely makes you think they were planning something for this. And yeah, this does lead back up to this massive open area that we checked out before, which all has collision, and again, really feels like it was going to be playable area. And before moving on, I just want to take a look at this little space here where you do the zappy zap and get the plane part at the back here. Doesn't seem like there's anything hidden, but it's a pretty cool little space, and here's a look at it for you guys. Oh yeah, and of course, way out there on the dock, PhD is definitely still sitting right here. I do believe this model has changed from Black Ops 2, and it seems like there's even a little cup there in the dispenser part of the machine, which is kind of funny. And also, it seems like Mule Kick is nowhere to be found. Continuing onward, we're going up the stairs here, and to our left, we have another window location to check out, which this one's a pretty cool one. There's a big old balcony here which stretches all the way across this building until, I guess, a little barrier here, which I'm assuming is the map barrier below us. There is one little room right here which is very dark. It's literally just a little black box for zombies to spawn in and then come on out towards the window at you. Past this window location, of course, is another one. Hopping on through the window right here, we can see this area. To the right, there's this little catwalk, which it seems like we do actually have collision with, which is kind of cool. And, well, there's also this, which, yeah, it doesn't really look like there's anything going on inside of this building, unfortunately. However, it does have this little room up top, which has a few, bags here labeled Alcatraz and a rope. But other than that, that's about it. And although there is no collision, as you might have saw while we were looking into the building, there is a first floor to this area, which does have some modeling to it, some barrels and stuff, because of course you can see it from inside the map. And it's actually a really cool space that leads all the way through back towards the spawn area over here. And there's even this little side room right here, although it does not seem to have any textures to it. It's kind of just a black box. And I think that's about it for the docks, so let's go ahead and make our way back to the prison. I'm going to go ahead and just use a little bit of no-clip, go right on up to this staircase, and walk our way back up there. Finally, it's time to go into the cafeteria. So inside of this cafeteria, of course, we have a window location right here at the back. So let's go ahead and hop on into it. I believe in Mob of the Dead, this is where you get the spork from, right? From one of these shelves or something. It does open up here at the back to a big old open space with a couple dead bodies just providing some really creepy shadows on the wall. But other than that, there's no modeling here around the corner. It's kind of empty, actually, around both of these sides. But still, nonetheless, a really cool space. We also have these windows along the sides, which just kind of have little catwalks here, it seems. A little place for zombies to spawn out of sight and out of mind. and come on into the map. As you can see, this one here along the side is pretty much the same, except for when I turn around, we can see that this one now connects actually down to here, which I guess leads to the courtyard. Just kind of wraps along the side. And now heading on into the infirmary, we can go on up the stairs here. So first of all, if we're going to our left right here, we do have a window, and if we hop on into it, we can see there's just a little bit of a space back here with a bunch of these like power boxes just flashing. And it kind of looks like there was writing here, although it's like scratched off, which is really strange to see. And the big thing I'm wondering is, what about that area that you could go through in the afterlife in Black Ops 2? Does any of that exist? It does seem like there's a little space here, actually, which I can walk in. So, yeah, I guess it's kind of here, but kind of not anymore. We also have this little in-between space right here with a bunch more of these hanging bodies. And that's not it, of course. We do have these areas on the side, too, which seem to have been updated quite a bit, I think, from Black Ops 2. I don't remember there being this much stuff in them. And there's more of them. There's actually a bunch of these rooms, and they're all modeled just a little bit differently. There's that one, and then there's this one right here. If I can no-clip, please. There we go. Take a look at this one as well. And on the other side, we got 3 more of them. It does seem like there's differences in modeling here, but there's nothing too terribly interesting to check out. But just out of completionist's sake, here's a look at each of them. On the roof, there's a few things to check out, one of which is this little space here in the middle. You don't normally get to see in here, but there is a bunch of dead bodies here just piled in the middle. I guess this is where they were bringing them to. I don't exactly know, but it's definitely there. And at the back, of course, there's a window location, so let's go ahead and hop on into it. And it leads to the rest of this rooftop, where you normally get to walk to in Mod of the Dead, but here in Blood of the Dead, well, it's just out-of-bounds space. Around the right side of this as well, we can see that this space does still exist from Mob of the Dead, and yeah, that ramp definitely a bit broken. And as far as the rest of the roof here, it's pretty empty. There's not a ton of modeling to it, although, like I said, an outside Mob of the Dead walking around up here really makes me wish that you could train zombies up here, because it would have been a ton of fun. So that is pretty much all of the island covered, so now it's time to go into a few of the odds and ends, and one of them I want to check out is that tunnel system. So starting over here near spawn, let's go ahead and just hop right on through here and take a look at it. There's a massive open space here immediately, and there's actually like a minecart kind of deal, which it doesn't seem like it actually leads anywhere, but pretty cool nonetheless. And it seems like there's a massive barrier inside this entire thing. I can't exactly walk out into it, but we do have collision here at the bottom, which is kind of cool. And I believe you fly up then through this mine shaft right here, which again, we can't walk through it, unfortunately. But using some no-clip, we get to take a look at some weird little areas like this you don't normally get to see, as well as this open space below us with some of that beautiful blue water. Down here, there isn't a barrier covering at least some of this, so we can take a swim, which is kind of cool. But continuing on up the minecart track, there is this little area right here with a ladder, but unfortunately, that ladder doesn't actually lead anywhere. There's just a bunch of liminal space here above us. And pushing further, we're met with a whole bunch of lava on it. Above us, of course, is where you normally go. Where is it? Yeah, right there. That's the grate you normally go up to. But just to check out this area, there's a black wall texture here at the back where the minecart leads to, and it just kind of ends off. And we also have the other tunnel, which goes from the Warden's house to the showers here. So starting in the showers, we just hop down here. This is, after all, where the Hell's Retriever is just chilling down on a rock. But continuing onward through this tunnel, it's just a whole lot of lava, leading back up, of course, towards the next grate here in the Warden's house. And I think there's one more glaring detail that we gotta check out. So in Black Ops 2, as I'm sure many of you guys who are avid viewers of the channel know, this was just a floating 2D texture out in the distance, and the actual Golden Gate Bridge was underneath the map. But here in Black Ops 4, it seems like the Golden Gate Bridge out here actually has some width to it, which is kind of cool. It's a 3D model, although it's probably important to note here that the width of this bridge is a lot smaller than the one in Mob of the Dead. And of course, well, there's no collision with any of this. You just fall right on through. There's also these little, like, segmented parts of the bridge, which are also 3D models, surprisingly enough. I really wasn't expecting that. And the cables lead all the way out here and then just cut off. And at the end here, There's what seems to be like a little island, but doesn't really look like the texture is much more than just a black wall. And on the other end of the bridge, the cables do lead to another island over here, and this one does seem to actually have some sort of texture to it, although, I mean, it's not exactly HD or anything, but it's more than just a black wall, at least, so there's that. But yeah, there doesn't seem to be any remnants of the Pack-a-Punch out here. If I remember correctly, and it has been a long time since I've played this map, the Pack-a-Punch machine is supposed to be teleported from the Golden Gate Bridge to the top of the prison after doing like a little Easter egg step, right? And I was kind of expecting to find the Pack-a-Punch model somewhere here, like maybe under the map or something, but yeah, I can't find it anywhere. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Blood of the Dead. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like down below. It helps me out a ton, and of course, make sure you're subscribed so you can come back for more. I had a ton of fun checking out this map, and although I really did not enjoy Black Ops 4 at all, this map, however, was probably the best map of Black Ops 4 for me, just because of its connection with Mob of the Dead. I loved Mob of the Dead, and therefore, I mean, this map it at least couldn't suck, right? If you want to watch more of my content, you can click one of the videos on screen right now, but if not, I'll catch you in the next one. Stay awesome, and peace out.